До слова запрошується речник.
Now the floor is given to Ministry of Defense of Ukraine spokesman on NATO-related issues, Colonel Oleksandr Motuzyanyk. Good afternoon. Now, dear friends, the information about the main events in the ATO area that happened during the last 24 hours. In the Lugansk area, the situation remains the same. In Crimea, there was heavy mortar shelling delivered by the militants. The main military actions continue in Popasnyansky region. And also the enemy violated ceasefire in Stanitsa Luganska. Traditionally, the occupants are active during evening hours, sporadically use mortars and armored vehicles. The shortest shelling lasts about 10 to 15 minutes and the longest more than an hour. In Lugansk area, there were 14 enemy shellings during the last 24 hours. And in the Donetsk area, the situation near Avdiivka demonstrates trend to escalation. Right after midnight, the enemy started mortar shelling that lasted 2 hours. Then there was a battle clash at 5 a.m. between Ukrainian forces and the militants. And the enemy was not able to advance. It was stopped, and Ukrainian forces didn't sustain any losses. So the offensive failed, and the enemy brought mortars and tanks and continued shelling for 5 hours. Then the militants tried to launch another offensive, and the fire was delivered from Yasenovata to industrial area. And the enemy also used mortars and tanks, and military actions lasted for 7 hours without interruption. And yesterday, the enemy launched about 300 mines and 70 tank shells in the region of Avdiivka. And also the enemy hit electricity supply line. That's why electricity supply was cut off. And police now patrol the streets of the city. Also, the militants near Avdiivka were active, and also the militants were active in the areas where it is usually calm. And in Svetlodarsk Bulge near Gorlovka, between Gorlovka and Yasenovata and Opetna and Piski, there were heavy mortar shellings delivered by the enemy. The occupants deliver fire both during the day and at night, violating ceasefire agreements. Ukrainian forces actively returned fire. And there were no calm areas in that part of front line. In the Donetsk area, there were 41 shelling delivered by the enemy, and there were also 2 battle clashes. Mariupol area, the epicenter of the military actions is Vodyane. From the morning, they started mortar shelling, and then the enemy started to use barrel artillery and rocket artillery. And during the last 24 hours, the enemy launched 24 122mm artillery shells, 30 mines and 30 rocket shells delivered by Grad systems. Also, a number of heavy artillery and mortar shellings delivered in Krasnogorovka, Novogrigorivka and Pavlopil. And in the course of the shellings, they launched tens of shells and mines. Minor incidents also happened along the front line of Mariupol area, and aggressive actions were opposed by Ukrainian forces that returned fire. On the whole, during the last 24 hours in the Mariupol area, there were 50 enemy shelling, and there were no calm areas in the Mariupol area. During the last 24 hours, in the result of the military actions, no Ukrainian serviceman was killed, but 9 were wounded, and also 1 serviceman went missing. And Ukrainian intelligence service informs that among the militants there is rise of crimes caused by low discipline. The day before yesterday, the militants from so-called Fourth Brigade were delivering chaotic fire, and they wounded a civilian. And in Kirovsk, unknown persons fired at the checkpoint of the brigade, and they wounded the sergeant of Russian occupation forces, 25-year-old Nazar Polezhayev. And at the same time, while checking documents in the bus that travels from Ukraine's Avdiivka, servicemen of National Guard detained the militant. And according to the electronic base, this perpetrator is the militant, and he was detained and handed it to SBU. At the same time, one more militant participated in SBU program that is called They Wait For You Back Home, and he was able to change his life for the better. The residents of Kurakhova, 2015, he joined the militants in order to earn some money. He carried out some tasks. He was driver and also served at checkpoints, and he was armed. But he wasn't paid for his job, and he got disillusioned in the ideas of Russian world and returned to civilian life in occupied territories. And then he got information from his wife about SBU program, and he decided to participate. And in Mariupol, police officers seized illegal arsenal. Local resident gathered a lot of ammunition, hunting rifle, cold arms and special means, and 500 of cartridges of different caliber. He didn't have permit for these weapons. That's why he was detained. And the resident of Bakhmut also had 120 cartridges, and the police officer seized this. And also he had a Makarov gun, and he said that he found this ammunition in the forest. A checkpoint near Bakhmut, police officers, in the course of the search of the car, they found 7 battle grenades, 1 kilogram of plastide, and 240 cartridges. And in this very car there were children, so this was responsible behavior of the car owner. She was detained. Ukrainian forces help elderly people in Trudivske. Their houses were damaged by enemy shelling. They winterized their houses and help them to repair the damage. So their houses. Thank you. If you don't have questions, thank you.